they were afraid. And they were afraid. Now watch this. As long as the man was acting a fool, long as he was cutting himself, long as he was screaming, making all kind of noise, long as he acted crazy, long as he was calling him in bees and hoes, long as he was doing that which was self-destructive, the people were okay with that. But the moment he's seated at the feet of Jesus, dressed right, he ain't sagging no more. In his right mind, the text says they got scared. There is nothing, brothers, this nation fears more than a black man who is clothed in his right mind and hooked up with Jesus. I can imagine this brother say, well, what had happened was, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Come on, leave son. And whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but will have everlasting life. I can hear this brother saying, what had happened was, therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away, and behold, all things become new. I can hear him saying what had happened was, for the wages of sin, death, but the gift of God is eternal life. What had happened was, cast your cares upon the Lord, for he cares you. What had happened was, can't nobody do me like Jesus. Lean on somebody and say, can't nobody do me like the Lord. Bless his name. I need you to know that God is able to deliver you. God is able to lift you up. God is able to bring you out. God is able to make a way out of no way. And so in our text, in the book of Genesis, the Lord called down from glory because Adam and Eve were hiding because they had disobeyed the Lord. And the Lord says, Adam, where are you? Bless his name. He says, I was hiding. Why were you hiding? Because I was naked. Who told you you were naked? Bless his name. And there's been too many brothers that have been hiding on the corners. Thank you, Jesus. You've got a responsibility to go back to Lodabar. Your work's not done just because you made it to the palace. Bless the name of the Lord. But you've got a responsibility to help somebody else make it across. Thank you, Jesus. Don't pull up the ladder because you climbed to the top. Don't blow up the bridge because you made your way across. Thank you, Jesus. But reach your hand back down the ladder and pull somebody else up out of Lodabar. Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. That's the name of the Lord. Somebody got to tell themselves it's all right if you got it now. Just hold it for me. I'll be there to get it after a while. Oh, bless the name of the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. You got to make up in your mind that what God has for me, it is for me. I might not have it right now. May not get it next week. You might try to stop me from getting it. But if God said it's mine, I want you to know after a while, I'm going to get what belongs to me. Sometimes God got to strip what you got so you don't depend on yourself. You got to take away from you so you understand how to depend on El Shaddai. Come on in here. Our young people are dying. Cracked out. Suicide. Homicide. They'll kill you at the drop of a dime. Our jails are full. Yet the crime still runs rampant. Sometimes God got to strip what you got so you don't depend on yourself. All right, thank you, Jesus. Okay, no problem. Thank you. Okay. All right, thanks. Hey, I don't have no $100,000 year cost. $200,000. I got $1 cost, baby. You better think, because the Bible said, "As a man think." The reason we ain't is because what we think we are. All right, 90.7
WTCC, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African-American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. Spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. Well, it's another Monday morning, and it's a holiday today. It is 6 minutes past the hour. I want to thank our remote director, Jim, live on the air with you, as he's been doing so faithfully, man, for going on a year now. Next month will be about a year since we've been doing this in the middle of this pandemic. But it's good to still bring you good programming on WTCC. I want to thank Mr. Kenneth Barnett for bringing us up into the 9 o'clock hour with nothing but the best in gospel music. Tune in every Monday morning. Tune in every day, as often as you can. Here on WTCC, we've got all kinds of great programming that just runs the gamut in terms of diversity. So you definitely want to tune in. Listen, tell a friend, tell somebody that the bishop is on the air, no matter what platform you're listening from. If you listen live over the air on 90.7, hey, call somebody. Tell them Bishop is on right now. And if you're on Facebook or Twitter or Periscope or YouTube or Instagram, yeah, we're on Instagram as well. Let somebody know that we are on the air right now, and tune in. I know it's a holiday, but y'all know y'all ain't celebrating no President's Day. Stop it. It's just a day off for you. All right, let's just keep it 100. 413-337-1867. 413-337-1867. And we'll put the number up once we get on the other side of the break, taking telephone calls. Today, I'm just going to talk about, the big news of last week. Former President Trump was acquitted again in his second impeachment trial. What does that decision mean? What does the decision of 43 Republicans to acquit Donald Trump in his second impeachment trial that has been condemned by many observers as a racist vote that upholds white supremacy? What does that actually mean in our nation? We'll talk about that when we come back. All right. Once again, rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Love to know where you're coming in from. Good morning, Michael Moore. Good morning, Carrie Woods is already telling me what it means. Already chiming in on the discussion. Peace and blessings. I see you over there on the YouTube side. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. We're going to be right back. Please don't touch that dial. All right? Stay right there. We're coming back. And at 9:45, we're going to have Wifey back on, back by popular demand. Yesterday was Valentine's Day. Maybe I'll have some time to talk about it once we get Wifey on the air. The UN women tweeted out something that was crazy. But we'll get that. We'll get to that. Don't touch the dial. We'll be right back. Talk to me, Daddy. Talk to me, Daddy. Talk to me,
positive attitude says everything about you. Attitude is a little thing that makes a big difference. Every day you get up, you could give a gift. That's why they call it the present. And it's up to you of how you unwrap it. So yesterday is history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is a gift. So don't let the pain of your past bleed into your present and poison your future. Stop replaying the movie. Why did this happen to me? When it's done with you, be done with it. If it seems like you keep running into pigeons, it's an indication that you're flying too low. So set your sights a little higher. Remember, eagles fly by themselves. If you can see the invisible, you can do the impossible. Allow your challenges to be a stepping stone to propel you into new possibilities. So be discontent with your past accomplishment. You're only as great as your last success. So maintain your hunger and your passion. Remember this, within every seed there is a tree. In every tree there is a forest. Who and what you were born into is simply an environment to prepare you for your ultimate purpose. It was not a setback, it was a setup. Your purpose and potential is bigger than your past or problem. That gave to you. Listen to it, don't let your mind fool you. Remember the talk that gave to you. Whatever you do is gonna come back to you. Successful people will do the things they hate to get the things they love. Much of life is about sacrifice. You got to give up something to get something. Success is not about what you've accomplished, but it's what you have overcome. For it's the test that you pass in life which qualifies you for the next level. You have to be willing to face your challenges and overcome them. Most people drive 12,000 miles a year moving forward, but most accidents are caused when they move backwards. You gotta stay focused on what's ahead of you instead of what's behind you. It's your daily routine that determines your success or failure. Whatever you practice at is what you become great at. What's more important than being intelligent? Have the right attitude. Respect costs you nothing, but it will cost you everything not to have it. So don't be too smart for your own good. Remember, a hard head makes a soft behind. What's more important than your five senses is common sense. The heart of a fool is in his mouth, but the heart of a wise man is in his character. So don't sweat the small things. The answer for a short temper is a long walk. Be slow to speak, quick to listen, and remember this: you haven't lived long enough to know everything. Your character is what matters most. Once you have been labeled with a bad reputation, it's hard for people to see you any other way. A good name is worth more than all the money in the world. Your life is broken up into three parts. First you learn, then you earn, and then you return. You gotta give back. Talk to me, Daddy. Talk to me, Daddy. I need to know how to be.
Talk to me. That's Daddy Talk. Good Wisdom by Ferris Hill. 413-337-1867. Let me get that up there on the screen so y'all know how to get in touch if you want to chime in. I see you already got some good talk up in the chat sections, and I haven't even really got into the subject. But obviously, you all have been thinking about the subject matter based on what has happened in our country, what we witnessed, the absolutely reprehensible action of the U.S. Senate to hit a man of the heinous crime committed by former President Trump. Kimberly Lazarski, one of our top fans and faithful listeners, says that according to Republicans, none of these offenses are impeachable. And then she lists them. And that's a whole bunch of them. Treason, sedition, insurrection, xenophobia, calling Nazis very fine people, implementing discriminatory policies, stealing children from refugees, selling them into adoption, and sending the refugees back to their land of origin to be butchered, applauding the Saudis, butchering journalists, selling state secrets to Russia and Saudi Arabia, bribing foreign leaders, quid pro quo, and the list goes on to obstruction of justice, misappropriation of funds, unlawful emoluments, that according to Republicans, none of these are any big deal. And she's right. That's basically what they have said to us. Good morning, Leonard Epps. I see my frat brother. Ow, in the house. Iota Phi Theta represent. That none of these, and of course, a deadly insurrection in which a police officer was killed, 2 others committed suicide, 4 other people lost their lives. All of that, no big deal. Come on, man. Let bygones be bygones, according to 43 Republican senators. So this guy was tried for his role in inciting the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. His many followers waved Confederate flags. They wore racist, anti-Semitic clothing and symbols, stormed the building, busted down the windows, broke the doors open. In some cases, were let in by the police. In his speech preceding the riot, 46-1 exhorted his followers to fight like hell, to fight the vote. And he called his mostly white audience the people that built the nation. That's a remix of history, of course. Most of them came over, their families came over as European immigrants after our ancestors built the nation. But whoever accused this guy who told 50,000 lies in public while he was president of telling the truth anyway. His efforts to overturn the election results concentrated in cities with the large population of Black voters. Okay, let's just keep it 100, keep it a buck. He was focusing on those Black voters in Milwaukee that gave Biden Wisconsin, those Black voters in Detroit that gave Biden Michigan, those Black voters in Philadelphia that gave Biden Pennsylvania, and those Black voters in Atlanta that gave Biden the state of Georgia. So basically what he was trying to do, he was trying to stop the votes of Black people from being counted. Kimberly Atkins, a senior opinion writer here in Massachusetts at the Boston Globe, basically said that, what he was trying to do was basically disenfranchise Black votes. And she said, and I agree with her, white supremacy won today. I tweeted that what those 43 senators did was they upheld the most enduring American institution, white supremacy. That's what they did when they acquitted Trump. And history will reflect that they enabled white extremism. They enabled insurrection. They enabled violence as permissible part of American politics if it suits their aims. Again, violence has always been a permissible part of American politics when you really think about it. And it's just a continuation. They use violent ends to attain this land, and they feel as though they can use violent ends to maintain political control over it. Which means if we gotta rebel against our own government, so be it. And the thing about it, they were talking about this all preceding the election. They kept talking about civil war. It was trending on social media, civil war. And that's really what they meant. That's really what they meant. They meant, we're going to go to war to keep our Ku Klux Klan leader in power. And when they stormed the Capitol, they let you know that they meant business. And let's not get it twisted and think that that's all behind us and that there's no way these types of acts can come up again. These people are crazy. And what the U.S. Senate did was embolden them once again, empowered them once again. Then Mitch McConnell has the nerve to get on the floor of the Senate after the vote, condemn Trump and say he was absolutely responsible for the riot that took place. He was absolutely responsible for inciting the violence. But he voted to acquit him, claiming that it was not constitutional to have the trial. No, Mitch wants to have it both ways. He wants to support Trump, not tick off his base, stay in the good graces of the Republican parties, keep his job as the leader of the Republicans in the Senate, and then condemn Trump at the same time. Mitch, please. Okay? You can't have it both ways. You can't. You're disingenuous. We see through it. You're as phony as a $3 bill. You can't vote to acquit Trump and then condemn him at the same time. It don't work that way. We're not stupid. Trump's base is stupid, so maybe you fooled them. But you didn't fool the rest of us. We see exactly what you're doing. And I mean, the majority of the Senate agreed, 57 of them, including 7 Republicans, that he should be convicted. But you couldn't get 10 more Republicans to part with the party. And basically, they're scared of Trump. Let's just keep it a buck. There are a bunch of punks that are scared of Trump. I tweeted this morning that Trump is Suge Knight and the Republican Party is Death Row Records. That's exactly how he's being gangster with the Republican Party. If you tick me off, I'm going to hang your butt out the window. Okay? Tick me off, there's going to be consequences and repercussions. He's straight up gangster with these Republicans. He's Suge Knight, and the Republican Party is Death Row Records, and they're scared as hell of Trump. So they're going to support him no matter what. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen, in America. Jim Crow's children are in the U.S. Senate. And they're upholding white supremacy. Now, the amazing thing about all of this is most of the white America is down with that. They have no problem with that. Now, black folk can't, object to a police officer having a knee on our necks for 8 minutes and 46 seconds and murdering us. Okay, we can't object to that without white folks tripping about our protests, calling Black Lives Matter a terrorist organization. but they can riot and engage in a full-fledged violent insurrection because their dude lost an election. Not because they're oppressed, not because police officers have their knees on their necks, not because they're being shot down and killed extrajudiciously, not because they face disparities in every facet of American life, not because of a criminal injustice system that mass incarcerates and profiles them and gives them harsher sentencing, etc. Because their dude lost an election. That justified straight up insurrection and overthrow the government. But black folk ain't supposed to protest because we're getting murdered in the streets like dogs. You see the double standard happening here? Oh, boy. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. His acquittal said something about America. Well, let me not say it like that, because we already knew this about America. It reaffirmed something about America. It reaffirmed something about America that we already knew. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning, caller.
You will definitely know I was going to call this morning to figure out what happened to her. And you know what? I call these guys all weasels. Have you ever seen a real weasel running around in the daytime? They always hide in the dark and figure you don't know what they did. But McConnell up there, he listened to everything that happened, knew exactly it was against the Constitution of this country. Then he come up there and make it seem like he did the country a favor, you know?
But see, Trump has been doing stuff against the Constitution for the last 4 years. And his fellow Republicans haven't cared. I mean, he's been violating, he's been bribing countries, he's just been gangster with it. I mean, he basically has turned on its head the notion that there are three co-equal branches of government. And it was set up that way supposedly so there would be a balance of power, that you would have an executive branch, a legislative branch, and a judicial branch. Trump basically said, the hell with the legislative branch. I don't have to answer House subpoenas, Senate subpoenas. I don't have to listen to any of the members of Congress. They can't hold me accountable. The most they can do is impeach me, but when they impeach me, the Senate won't convict me. So to hell with Congress. And then he stacked the judiciary with his own judges. I mean, stacked the Supreme Court, stacked the federal benches. So he said, I'm not worried about that either. So basically, he became a dictator and said, I can do whatever I want to do, and neither the judicial branch nor the legislative branch can hold me accountable.
Well, and that's it, you know, and that's what I see. But a lot of people, these ones that's running around behind him, thinking that, Trump is taking the country back away from you and I to them. And Trump cares of nobody but himself. And it's right down to it right now. People need to wake up. And all of these ones that think that, like I say, think that Trump is doing something for them. You know, we spoke on it a while back there, where all of these people that's running around behind Trump, they're worse off than we are. If you go around the country right here now, these people don't have nothing, but they still running around behind Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Trump
That's what
thing that came around since sliced bread.
Well, see, that's how you know it was never about so-called economic anxiety and stuff with them. It was never about that. It was always about the fact that his racist message resonated with their white supremacy. That's all. Because his policies.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say his policies didn't help most of his constituents. You have some of his constituents.
Well, just what I just finished saying. guys already in a hole, but they're digging themselves deeper, thinking they're running around behind Trump, and Trump is going to do for them and send us back to where we came from, you know?
Right. Right.
So, but, you know, I just you're wondering, you know, what do you think should be happening right now? I mean, full-fledged with their Democratic Party.
Democrats need to get their stuff together when it comes to ensuring that Black issues are on there. Right now, my biggest problem with them is if it weren't for Black voters, like I just got through saying, those 4 key swing states, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, never would have gone to Biden if it weren't for Black voters. And
hey, don't forget South Carolina now.
Right. And since he's gotten in office, he has specifically, and see, people always talk about this racial equity thing. The racial equity thing has everybody in it. It's got backs and disabled and LGBT and women and everybody. It's not specifically for Black people. But he has done things specifically for the LGBT, specifically for transgender, specifically for Asian population, specifically for undocumented. But they always hem and haw when it comes to doing something specific for Black people. And if they don't get their stuff together and deal with us and stop telling us we have to be satisfied with these legislative priorities that have a rising tide lifts all boats kind of mentality, that it'll help all too kind of thing, then they're going to lose Black voters.
I want to get off and let you go ahead. But right now, people have to realize that, you know, you were mentioning early on that our people have built this country. And now they want to take it back away after we got it all polished up and everything and make it look pretty. Now, they did it and want to throw us back, you know, to in the jungle or wherever. But it comes right down to it. The major thing that we need to be doing now is that systemic racism. I say to my kids and my nephews all the time that if that wasn't there, those roadblocks that's up in our face, we'd already be past them, and they know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that fear factor is there to where, you know, we're getting too close, so you got to stack the deck again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I always enjoy talking to you because, you know, like I said, we're always on the same page. And just continue to keep up the good work. Because people like you and I, the only ones that kind of keep the heat on, and that's why I asked you early on, what should the Democratic Party be doing right now to get things heated up? And the major things going back to that whole thing about Black Lives Matter with George, you know, Floyd and all the rest of those people out there.
All right.
Have a good day, sir.
Thank you for your call. 413-337-1866. Here's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. Trump is now head of the Neo-Confederacy, formerly known as the Republican Party. Republican Party is nothing but an arm of the Klan. It's a party made up of people whose ideological ancestors have always been well represented in all levels of government and society. It is what America has been. And as far as they're concerned, what America always will be. They want to keep it that way. That's the reality. They don't want to change it. Basically, his second acquittal proved the enduring power he holds over this party. I mean, that's it. He bullied them into standing with him, and they punked out. And it basically shows a fundamental power imbalance. It's the party of Trump. Bottom line. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning.
You just said some some of the most hateful, despicable stuff. And then you go ahead and blame Trump for inciting violence.
What was hateful? What violence have I incited?
You basically said that people who disagree with you and belong to the Republican Party are basically Klansmen.
So let me ask you a question. When did my followers ever go and storm a building and kill people?
Well, your people, that's what you call them.
When did my followers, the followers of Talbert Swan, you're not going to blame me for somebody off in some, other state somewhere that did something. Not going there today.
Exactly.
We're not going there today. We're not going up by. You're gone. You're gone. You're gone. You're gone. You're gone. When did my followers, when did people who follow me, okay? When did people who my church, people who are part of organizations that I had, ever go storm a building and murder people? When did that happen? When did I encourage that? When did I incite that? Good morning, caller. Caller, you're on the air. Going on. So goodbye. You're gone again. You're gone. I got the controls, punk. See, that's the typical white boy, the typical Republican white dude. He's frustrated right now because he doesn't have control. He can't get his way. He's got this black guy on the radio who won't let him bully him, who won't let him overtalk him, who he cannot control, who he cannot deal with, and he's frustrated at home right now. He's probably breaking stuff. He's probably at home breaking up, beating his wife or something. Good morning, caller. It's your third time calling. I mean, we can do this. We can do this all day. We can do this all day. What you gonna sit there and you gonna sit there and keep calling back? This is a white dude having a temper tantrum right now. I can't get my way, so I'm gonna keep calling you. It's real frustrating. You can't control black people, ain't it? I mean, it's real frustrating to you when you can't control black people. When they just don't kowtow to your desires, when I just don't buckle down and let you take over my show and say whatever the hell you want to say, it's real frustrating for you right now, ain't it? You don't know how to handle it, do you, Billy? Do you? I mean, the reality is here's the problem. Here's why you and I can't have that discussion. Because you call in, immediately you're angry. You're the angry white dude. And you cannot intelligently debunk anything that I'm saying. So you make outlandish false equivalencies. You're inciting violence right now. False equivalency. You're going to compare my commentary over the radio, which has incited no one to act in any violent manner. I've been on the radio for 20 years and never once has anyone in my listening audience went and committed an act of violence because they were inspired by me to do so in 20 years. And you're going to compare words that you disagree with, spoken by me over the radio, with Trump literally inciting murder, insurrection, sedition, assault on the U.S. Capitol. You're really going to compare the two. See, that's that whataboutism. That's that false equivalence. That's like when you guys say Black Lives Matter is just like the KKK. Because you have no adequate real response, no real rebuttal, nothing substantive that is based in fact that can debunk what's being said. So you just say some outlandish ish that makes no sense. And then when I shut you down with intelligence, you fall apart and you start calling back to back. Billy mad, y'all. You upset, Chad? You mad, Chad? My bad, Chad. You know. Next thing you know, they're going to want to speak to the manager. Woo! 413-337-1867. Yes, I liken the Republican Party to it's a neo-confederacy that is run by Trump. I said what I said. And before I take it back, I'll add more to it. The Republican Party is death row records. And Trump is Suge Knight. Period. Republican Party is the Klan. And Trump is the Grand Dragon. That's what it is. Now, either debunk it with intelligence or give it up. Good morning, caller.
Thank you so much for being on the radio again, telling the truth, because that's what I'm hearing from you. And you confirmed exactly what I've been thinking, that the Republican Party is the KKK. And I feel like the people look like me and maybe like you that are part of the Republican Party. I think that they must have their eyes closed. They're refusing to see what the reality is. And that's my fear. So I said when Mitch did what he did in Congress and at the vote, I'm going to go to Kentucky and make sure that the people in Kentucky get woken up, because, these people are basically voting against their own interests, as they've done for decades, and will continue to do so until somebody wakes up.
I'm just going to be honest. I've given up Kentucky. I mean, when Kentucky can consistently reelect Mitch McConnell and Rand Paul, when these two are their two U.S. senators, over and over again.
State in the nation.
Yeah, exactly. And they keep electing these neo-Confederate Klansmen into office. They get what they deserve.
I hear you. We got to do something different. But like we said, I think Kimberly talked about it too, is that we have to vote in every single election. We did it this year. We did it in 2008 when we elected Obama. We need to continue to do that every single year, because our vote turnout rate is too low.
Yeah.
That's the reason that we're here, So I just want to encourage everybody to vote in every single election.
Absolutely. Thank you for your
Thank
call.
you, Bishop.
413-337-1867. Y'all answer me a question. Y'all think Billy's little mad or big mad? I think he's big mad. I think Billy is big mad. You called everybody in the Republican Party a Klansman. How dare you? He wanted to call me the N-word. That's what he wanted to do. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. Is this you again, Billy?
It's not Billy.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. I just congratulate you on getting up against people like Billy or Chad. Did you call him?
Yeah.
I'm just clapping and laughing in my car right now. So thank you.
All right. Thank you for your call. 413-337-1867. Is Chad big mad or is he little mad, y'all? I think he's having a bad morning now. Come on, Dad, cheer up. It's President's Day. You can go out and celebrate Trump all day long. He lost, though. Now, and here's the interesting thing, because Billy called my show before the election. Matter of fact, I spliced out that clip and posted it to social media. He called my show before the election, and Billy said, I just hope after the election is over that whoever loses will be able to accept the results. And I said to him, wait a minute, your guy is the only guy who has said he wouldn't accept the results if he lost. Then he said, well, no, you guys, we already see what happened with Black Lives Matter over the summer. You guys aren't going to accept the election. And the election results come in, and Trump spends the whole next 2 months inciting his base, lying about the election, claiming there's voter fraud. And I'm sure Billy will agree with that, even though Republican attorney generals said there was no voter fraud. Republican governors said there was no voter fraud. Republican judges threw the cases out of court and said there was no voter fraud. Your Republican at the time majority leader said there was no voter fraud. And yet your boy spent the whole time until he incited a violent insurrection. And you had the nerve to say, I hope that the losing side will be able to accept the election results. And y'all still ain't accepted the results. But it's President's Day, Billy. Y'all can go on and y'all can celebrate your twice impeached, 1 term, 26-time accused rapist all day today, if you want to. You know, bottom line, the whole neo-Confederate party can celebrate Trump today if you want to. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning, caller. Going once, caller. Is this Billy again?
No, it's not him.
Good morning.
It's not him. Good morning. Isn't it interesting how we have a holiday for slave owners?
Right.
Yeah, very interesting. If it was something to do with someone who was on the Nazi side, it would have been abolished years ago. Yeah. But one thing I wanted to say was another department in the government that said that there was no voter fraud was the Bar and the Department of Justice.
That's right, Bar and the Department of Justice, and also the guy that Trump appointed to monitor the election said it was the most secure election in history.
Exactly. I'm glad you brought that point out, because I remember when that guy called you and he was basically saying, I hope you guys know how to act when you lose.
Right. That's exactly what he was saying.
But one thing I wanted to say, though, if you look at Martin Luther King and the SCLC, if you look at Malcolm X, and if you look at the Black Panther Party, nobody was going around killing anybody. Nobody was going around murdering anybody. No one was going around putting bombs in churches. But for all these years, we were being hung. We were being lynched.
Yes.
Bombs were being put in our churches. Our houses would be set on fire in the middle of the night. We come running out of the fire. We were shot. Our government did nothing about it. Nothing about it. But when we speak out, just speak out against racial equality, police brutality, and what's being done to us, we're murdered. I don't understand that.
That's why it's so disgusting. Like Billy just did. Billy just tried to make that comparison. He tried to talk about Black Lives Matter. That's why it's so disgusting when they try to make that false equivalence that Black Lives Matter is just like those white supremacist insurrectionists that stormed the Capitol. We have not systemically gone around murdering people and brutalizing people. We haven't gone around bombing white churches, burning down white churches, lynching and hanging white men, and you're going to compare Black Lives Matter to the Ku Klux Klan? Man, get out of here.
And we're killed for just speaking out. And that's what happened to the leaders of the Black Panther Party. We're killed for speaking out.
Absolutely. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. Appreciate your call.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
You too. 413-337-1867. Let me do a time check. I think First Lady is here. Okay. We got 10 minutes left in the on-air program on WTCC. So let me bring First Lady on right here. She got her Anthony Hamilton hat on. Which makes
Good morning.
Yeah, because she was in the bed when I came down to the man cave. She was snoring and everything. So
Sure was.
Yes, I was. Got up and got it together real quick.
I've been sleeping better. Remember, at one time I couldn't sleep, so I'm sleeping better now because I'm getting stronger from, in my recovery from COVID. So,
okay. So
I'm glad to hear that I was snoring. I'm glad to hear that, Bishop. Thank you for putting me on blast to everybody.
We got 10 minutes left for WTCC. So let's finish up talking about this acquittal of Trump. Then we can change the subject when we go on with our streaming audience. You were tweeting, or you were posting rather, how disgusted you were about the results of the impeachment trial. Why don't you elaborate on that?
Well, I mean, I got to be honest. I wasn't surprised, but I always, kind of move forward in life with just a little bit of hope, thinking or hoping that even the worst of white supremacists or racists or a white male, politician, or even though actually, we have some pretty severe races in the form of white women as well. But nevertheless, I guess I always hold on to a little bit of hinge of hope. I'm a woman of faith. And, with me being a woman of faith, I'm always hoping for some conversion somewhere, for some reality check somewhere. So, I was hopeful. I was hopeful that the percentage that needed to vote to impeach Trump, it would happen, especially after the evidence that the impeachment managers brought in such a, specific and deserving way. It was crazy to see that we couldn't get enough votes, to impeach Trump.
Now
it was just crazy. So I was disgusted. I was disgusted in that way.
Now, what we did have though, we did have 7. We did have 7 Republicans who actually voted with the Democrats to convict him. So although we don't agree with the ideology of those 7 all the time,
right?
We'll at least give them credit in this
absolutely
of doing the right thing.
And what I'm curious to know too is if Muchin, I don't know how you say his name, was part of that 7. I would love to know whether or not he was part of that 7. But just kind of in moving forward, I think I heard you talking to somebody earlier. What should we do now, or what should the Democrats be thinking about now? My answer to that is that the Democrats should have been thinking about in the November election, should be thinking about the midterms. That's my answer to that. So we should be taking names and we should be taking prisoners. So we should be vetting and cultivating, right now we should be getting ready for the midterms, because I'm really something else that I'm disgusted about is that, these Republicans are so confident about taking back the Senate, in during the midterms. They're very confident about that.
Well,
So
you
I'm
know,
like, no, I don't think so. So why aren't we already,
but you
spending
see,
money, resources, and planning, to
I was
fortify the Senate
reading,
in
I
the
was
midterm?
reading up on the U.S. Senate, um, and most of the political scholars say that the U.S. Senate is one of the most enduring institutions of white supremacy um, in American history. That it has been 98% white. Right now, it's 90% white. Um, Most of its rules were adopted to uphold white supremacy. The whole filibuster thing was adopted by um, Southern white racists who wanted to maintain the institution of slavery so they could hold up legislation. The whole fact that you needed 67 votes to begin with um,
Well, yeah,
in order to convict instead of a simple majority. All of these Senate rules and stuff
right.
that exist now are basically vestiges from a time when they wanted to be able to ensure the maintenance of white supremacy. And so I'm not at all surprised by Republicans who think that they can take back the U.S. Senate, especially, you know, in those states, predominantly white states, red states, where they feel like they can maintain their seats. And the reality is, it was an anomaly for Democrats to get 2 Senate seats in Georgia, of all places. So they're targeting those places once again and they're commanding the Republicans in those states to say, hey, y'all know what y'all got to do. Y'all got to give us back those seats.
Well, no, I think it's a little bit deeper than that, Bishop. And the reason why I say that, first of all, we already know that we're working, with a constitution in its origin that is built on racism and white supremacy. So we already knew that. But let's remember Black women and all the work that Black women have been doing, not just for 4 years, but Black women have been working on this for several years. For several years, maybe even several decades, to build momentum, to get Black folks registered to vote, 18-year-olds registered to vote, young people registered to vote, to build, to galvanize, to build, to strengthen, to educate, to inform, and to get them behind, policies, to get them behind how we legislate, I'm one of those that was incited, if you will, that's been incited because of all the work that my mothers and grandmothers and everybody has been doing. People like your mother, people like or whatever, over the years, over decades, even over generations, to get us to this point. Again, opposing a racist constitution, working around a racist constitution. And so with that being said, we got to give all the credit for Georgia to Black folk, to Black women, all the
Absolutely.
work and sacrifices, that Black women have been doing, and especially under the leadership of people like Stacey Abrams. And with that being said, I happen to know that there are Stacey Abrams all across this country.
Pause
Or
right
whatever,
there. We're gonna
from
come
that
back to that
side.
point because I want to show you something of how Black women were disrespected by the UN in a moment. But let's transition off of WTCC. All of you all who are listening to us over our 4,000 watts in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, wherever on WTCC, come on over to social media. Come on over to Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. We've got live discussions going on all of those particular mediums. So we definitely want to continue the discussion. We'll be right back. Don't y'all go nowhere, okay? We'll be right back. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you, and so do I. All right. 1 minute past the hour of 10 o'clock. And we're back with you on the extended version of the spoken word radio broadcast. I'm on live with the First Lady. And our phone number, let me get it back up. We'll keep the phone lines open for a little while longer. I don't know if Billy wants to call back.
No, I don't have time for Billy. I'm not exerting any energy for Billy. You know, no.
413-337.
I don't have time to talk about neither one of them.
1867 is the number here if you want to chime in on the conversation today. So listen, I want to show y'all something, and I want to kind of see what you think about it, because to me it was a blatant disrespect to Black women, which is something that happens far too often, but this time it was done by the UN, by UN women, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't think that I am, but I want to know what y'all think about it, because it kind of blew me away, because I'm gonna show it to you. If I can get my computer to act right, I'm gonna show it to you. Let's see. Okay, well, looks like I'm having some glitches here.
You can paraphrase. We believe you.
Huh?
You can paraphrase. We believe you. And I'm not surprised already, that there's other women disrespecting Black women. That's not a surprise either. Just like it's not a surprise that the Republicans.
The whole premise of this organization is supposedly to empower women.
Yeah, but it's always an exception when it comes to Black women. So, like I said, I'm not surprised if they jumping on the bandwagon, with other groups and with other races and with other sexes, or whatever, when it comes to Black women, because, Black women don't need to be recognized in order to galvanize and in order to energize and in order to do the right thing, or whatever. And it's always been like that for us. We've never needed to be recognized, but, it's undeniable now. It's undeniable now. You have to recognize the contributions and the achievements of Black women. You have to. You don't have no choice. So
I don't know if y'all can see that graphic.
No, I can't.
If you can see it, I see it showing up over the live stream, but I can't see it on my actual computer. So,
I see it. Okay, I see the Black woman kind of standing out to the side.
Oh yeah,
and if other you notice, races of women, I guess
the graphic, they tweeted this out for Valentine's Day. They said love is love, and now you notice there's a gay couple, there's a interracial heterosexual couple, there's a lesbian couple.
Okay.
And the Black woman
is alone.
Is by herself.
She don't have anybody.
By herself. Now the Black man is missing altogether, because I don't consider any of these depictions as Black dudes.
As a Black man, right?
So basically,
it's not even a Black gay man in the picture.
So the Black man is just he's just absent.
Yeah.
And the Black woman is just by herself.
Well, she's standing there kind of,
she's hugging
to
herself.
The side. She's standing there to the side. And who tweeted that? Who tweeted that?
The United Nations women, the UN women. It's crazy because, like I said, it's supposed to be an organization that empowers women. And Here they are tweeting out something that basically completely disrespects Black women and basically
So who is on that social media committee? You know,
yeah,
and like who drew that picture and how did they get by everybody in the UN in order to represent what they represent? You know,
right, right,
like
because
so show
obviously,
me if there's any Black women that's sitting at the table making decisions about, you know, what goes out to represent, you know, the UN. And like I said, I'm not surprised, especially if we're not sitting at the table, you know.
well, there
Especially if
can't be any Black women on the committee or whatever, because they're in the world. Any sister that saw that would have said, "Yeah, that's cool. Let's tweet that."
but it should be also like you, it should be Black men that saw that and was offended too. It should have been a lot of Black men that was offended from that. Probably more Black men that was offended from that, because at least we was in the picture, I guess. Yeah, at least we was in the picture, but y'all not even in the picture.
Yeah,
You know,
we're not in the picture at all.
at all. So our sons are not represented, you know, our husbands are not represented, our mates are not represented, you know. That's sad. That's sad. And especially if it came from the UN. That makes it even more sad. So as you can see, you know, with that display that you just put up, Bishop, you know, it's not just the government, it's not just the American government that we have to contend with. You know, it's the world that we have to contend with as Black women or as Black people.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm gonna need you to continue to talk, babe, and I'm gonna have to come back. I think I got to reboot because my system is acting up. It's frozen. I can't control stuff right here. So you're gonna have to carry out this discussion while I work technical problems. All right? Can you handle that?
I don't know how to run the technical stuff either.
Just
but
talk. We're on the air already.
Okay. All right, everybody. So it's something that I would like to kind of expound up on that we started talking about on the earlier show. And forgive me, my eyes are kind of running. I think some type of allergies might be happening. But nevertheless, getting back to what the Democrats should be doing and focused on right now. Like I said, and I really believe this, the Democrats should be focused on, and I mean, it should be a priority. It should be of utmost importance for the Democrats to be concentrating on fortifying the Senate and the House. Unfortunately, although we won the Senate, we lost some seats in both in the House, and we lost, some seats in the Senate. Although, we got to half and half. That's not strong enough. I believe that we need to be strong enough. I believe not only do we need to be strong enough, I believe that right now the Democrats are on the side of righteousness. I believe that the Democrats are on the side of what's fair and what's right, and what's equal. And that is something that Black folk, that's something that we deserve. That's something that this country deserves. That's something that people deserve. And I think it's really sad that we have to fight so hard for equality, like we're not human, like we're not people, like we don't have a spirit, like we don't have a mind, like we don't have intelligence, like we don't have gifts, like we don't have talents. We know, if from nothing else, we know from a historical perspective that this country wouldn't be what it is. It wouldn't be the superpower that it is. And it's losing its power because it won't give up. It won't give in to this white supremacy fake, construct of of racism. So, but nevertheless, this country wouldn't be the superpower that it is. It wouldn't have grown into being what it is as a country if it wasn't for the free labor and contributions in inventions, in intellect, in human resources that Black folk gave unwillingly and willingly. Now, today, without without the kind of umbrella of slavery, now today we are freely making contributions to this country, and it's just really sad that we can't be recognized for it, that we can't get the apology that we deserve about the greatest sin on the planet that we know of, enslavement of Black people. And with this being Black History Month, we certainly encouraging people to learn Black history. We know that Black history is history. The thing is, we need to understand that there's been a lot of redaction of Black history throughout the time of history as well. But, so learn the truth of Black history. Tell the truth. Tell the truth. A lot of times, we say that somebody is the first, and they're not the first. They're not the first. It's just that it was redacted out of the history books. It was redacted out of history. It was redacted out of the story, or even an image of a Black person who made a major contribution or did something great and fantastic. They changed their skin color to be more fair, or to be white, or to look white, or whatever the case may be, so that we would know that they were of African descent. So it's a whole lot of things that kind of go into the political landscape that we are working with and that we are looking at. But I really do, just trying to get back to this, I really do believe that we need to be working on fortifying, making the House and the Senate stronger. So we need to be cultivating candidates if need be. We need to be identifying the areas where we can quite possibly the change, and put in the right kinds of people with the right kinds of hearts and minds in these political positions, in order to sign off on the policies that we need to see happen in this country. I was really glad to hear, babe, when we was talking about, can you talk now? When we was talking,
can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. So when we talked about the police reform bill that was signed here in Massachusetts, so Massachusetts tends to be a pioneer with a lot of bills, with a lot of policies, with a lot of change. However, we do know that the police reform bill is not everything that we wanted, but it's a start, and we can continue to advocate, and make some other changes, down the line, hopefully, or whatever the case may be. But nevertheless, we got work to do, y'all. We need to fortify, we need to strengthen. And listen, I want to say this too. This year is a very important local political year. All the city council seats are up. All the school committee seats are up. So we need to get involved. We need to get engaged. We need to know, who we backing, who we endorsing, who we supporting. We need to work on those campaigns. We need to work on those campaigns. We need to support those people. We need to give them our financial resources. We need to give them our talent and gifts resources. We need to get behind those people, and we need to help them get those seats, and again, advocate for our communities. So this is a real important year. So that's kind of what I believe. I don't know if you heard me, babe, but I believe that the Democrats need to be working on fortifying the Senate, fortifying the House, in the midterms, because it's really disheartening to hear that the Republicans are so confident that they're going to get those houses back.
Yeah, well, they need to concentrate on that. But also, one of the things that I also said is that they also need to make sure that are meeting the needs, or at least addressing the agenda of their most loyal constituency. They need to make sure that the black folks that gave them the House, the Senate, and the executive branch of the government, that they're addressing our needs and our concerns. You can't, take care of everybody else and then ignore us. And I'm talking about things that are specific for us.
Right.
Not the rising tide lifts all boats, and this is going to help black people too. I mean,
Right.
if you can do something specific for LGBT, you can do something specific for transgender, something specific for the Asian community, specific for every single community. But whenever it comes around to black folk, it's always just that, we can't do something specific for black people. And I don't buy that. I'm not with that.
Well, I not only do I not buy it, I've really been educated on that area, because I think for too long, black people tried to get in where they could fit in so that we could get some crumbs of something, or whatever. But now we know, we don't need the crumb. We need the whole cake, because as black people, there's nobody else in America that have the experience that we have. And because of that, there are certain things that we need that maybe other groups may not need. And it is more than okay for us to advocate for those things, or whatever.
Okay.
It is more, not only is it more than okay, it is justified for us to advocate for our needs, as opposed to, a mass group needs. For instance, I was watching Blackish. Blackish is one of my favorite shows, and I shared this with the WIN committee the other day. And Rainbow is of mixed race, descent. Her father is white, her mom is black, but they came up kind of more as African Americans, because that's the way society treats them as black kids. And so with that being said, Rainbow grew up. Rainbow became a doctor. She married a black man, and she has 3 more black kids. Okay, so that's the setting. So George Floyd happens. George Floyd happens. There's all of this protest. She lives in a primarily white neighborhood. So the feminists get together, and Rainbow consider herself a feminist. So the feminists get together and they're protesting, or whatever. So they meet at a friend's house and they start developing these boards, with signs on them, with words on them, what they are advocating for. And so that's when Rainbow had a wake-up call, because what the white women writing on their board, she couldn't identify with. She couldn't relate to the things that she needed as a black woman and as a mother to black children was significantly different than those things that these white women felt like they needed, whatever. For instance,
Right.
The white women might have been saying something like, we need more police, we need more police, or we need better streets, or we need, and she's like, no, we need clean water. We need better schools, or whatever. So the needs of these black women or these black people in black communities, and primarily or predominantly black communities, the needs are different. The needs are different. And it's okay for us to say that. It's okay for us to say that.
Right.
And we need to be righteous. We need to be righteously indignant about, pleading our case to say, no, we need something different. We're not in the white female group. They need something different. But this is what we need.
Here's the thing. Because folk will accuse us of being racist if we're saying we want you to meet specific needs of black people. And they'll say, just like they do with the All Lives Matter, no, you need to meet everybody's needs. Well, here's the thing. America has been meeting the needs of white people forever. The bottom line. So let's act like there's a disparity in terms of meeting the needs of white. And then when we look at specific agenda of black people, let's take one of the most controversial ones of reparations. They don't want to talk about reparations. Joe Biden doesn't want to talk about reparations. But America decided in 1988, Reagan signed a bill that said, hey, we're going to pay reparations to the Japanese for holding internment camps during World War II. America has paid reparations to various tribes, Native American tribes, for stealing their land and for the atrocities against them. America paid reparations to the descendants of slave owners for the loss.
Yeah, I get it.
For the loss of their slaves. But the one demographic that it always problem with even having the conversation about reparations is to the descendants of Africans that were enslaved for 246 years and their descendants that had to go through 155 years of subsequent Jim Crow, desegregation, dehumanization, and brutalization. But we can't even have that conversation because we can't do anything specific for black people because that would be racist.
Well,
and we got black people making that argument. Roland Martin was making that argument today.
Well, I do believe that reparations is appropriate. I just think that it's a difficult conversation for white folks and for government to consider having because, you can put an amount of how much was owed on to these other groups, but you can't put an amount, on us. You can't. Of course
not.
You can't,
of course not. But the thing.
But that's what scares them. So that's why they don't want to start
somewhere, though.
I understand, but they don't want to start the conversation because they know how big it is, babe. Like I said, you can
under the Trump administration,
you can put an amount on those other groups, and that's not to disparage, what they went through, or whatever case may be. But you cannot put an exact amount on us. They will owe us forever.
Under the Trump administration, the legislature, in a bipartisan manner, passed a bill that mandated the government to advocate for Holocaust survivors with European governments to seek reparations for them. Now, if America can say we're going to prioritize going after European governments to get benefits for Holocaust survivors, and America wasn't even the guilty party in the Holocaust, if it can look out for Jews and Holocaust survivors, how come America has such a difficult time in dealing with and looking out for the descendants of enslaved Africans?
Because they would just have to turn over America to us. They don't want to have that. That's really the reality of it. The reality is, they would need to turn America over to us. But you're right. Everybody is right. I see people in the chat. Yeah, I agree with reparations. And a lot of people are just thinking about reparations in the form of a check, once a month. And that's fine, once a month, to get a check. But there's reparations in other ways, like they did back in the 60s, 70s, or,
I don't want it in no other way.
No. I'm not going to say that. Because,
I'm like MLK. When MLK was planning the second march on Washington, he said, when we get there, we want our check.
I'm not done because let me tell you something.
Cut the check.
I would take reparations in the form of my kids being able to go to college all the way up to their PhD for free. I would take that.
Okay,
cutting the check. I would take them for giving any loans that we endure.
Okay, I get that. That's cutting the check.
I would take a housing program, to first-time home buyers, or a home buying program. I would take that, down payments and different things like that.
Down payments, the whole house.
I would take that, or the whole house, or whatever. Yes, I would take reparations in different forms. So it doesn't have to just be a check every month,
Well, what you're basically saying is all almost the same thing. It's a monetary benefit. They cut
It's
in the
a
check.
monetary benefit that will, try to, right some wrongs, because let's just be real. A lot of the racism includes a lot of economic, power that was stripped away from us. I heard yesterday, I heard this young man say, because, he's all about Black farmers or whatever the case may be, so there was a post-slavery, black people were farming, that's what they did. They were sharecroppers. Like my grandparents, your grandparents were sharecroppers. And so in some cases that turned over into them owning their own farms. It was like 328,000 Black-owned farms post-slavery. Now we're only down to 35,000. You can't tell me that racism is not rooted into taking our economic power away from us. So that has a lot to do with what's happening. So yeah, so creating programs or whatever in the form of reparations to get our economic power back, that's very important. That's very important.
So I want to shout out to my dear friend, the Bishop Destry Bell, all the way from Houston, Texas. One of my good friends, fellow bishop in the Church of God in Christ, who is on the program. Attorney Bridget Baldwin, Western New England University School of Law, let us know. And yes, we do know that they did take down that graphic, the UN women, but you all see now a little bit more clearly. You can see how you got the interracial.
She hugging herself. That's disgusting.
Yeah, the Black woman is hugging herself. And my problem is the Black man is absent, because I don't care. These other guys may be racially ambiguous, but they're not clearly Black. So somebody tried to argue that there was a Black man with the white woman, but he looks orange to me. I don't know what he is.
That's not Black.
But in any case, in my interpretation,
she's alone and hugging herself. And
here's my interpretation: Black man is absent. The Black woman is alone. This basically depicts the eradication of the Black family altogether. That Black love doesn't exist according to this picture right here. And
what does this depiction say about Black lives mattering too?
Yeah, it's I just don't know who in the decision when they decided, this was a good thing for us to tweet out for Valentine's Day. But the reality is America has been trying to eradicate the Black family for 400 years. In
some cases they did a really good job. Because
when the buck breaking documentary comes out, trust me, y'all need to get it, because it's all about what America is doing to eradicate the Black family, to emasculate Black malehood, to disenfranchise the Black woman, and to eradicate the Black family. So you definitely want to check that out. The trailer is up on my social media somewhere. Check that out.
Yeah, so in the eradication of Black women and the Black family, and certainly, the disappearing act that they're doing with Black men, that always starts with media, with art, with what people believe, so when they do see a Black family, like you tell the story all the time about before COVID, how we used to go out, as a family all the time, and it never failed. A white couple, an older white couple would always approach us, as if we are strange, because we was out together and we were with our children and everybody was behaving. So they would always approach us.
That used to get on my nerves. It used to get on my nerves. I mean, we just be out sitting, eating with our kids, and it never failed. Every time we go out on Sunday, we typically would go out Sunday after church, and every time without fail, there would always be, this is when our kids were younger, always be some white couple, middle-aged or older white couple that would come over and say, your children are so
So
well
well
behaved.
behaved.
Like that was a compliment because, and I used to be like, well, what the hell you expect for them to be swinging on the chandeliers or flipping over the pews or throwing food around? What do you expect out of black kids?
Exactly. And you know, we used to kind of get the same thing, you know, with us being together, and we would be walking down the street or in the mall or wherever we at, and we're holding hands and we're being affectionate. You know, we would get complimented that way too. So, you know, now thinking back on it, you know, I realized that people believe, you know, these misconceptions, and you know, and people are just miseducated, period.
Well, the other thing is I remember all the time as a black dad, it was like I was like some type of an anomaly, some type of a relic or a prop, you know, because you know if I would be out with our children, especially when they were younger, especially like when they were babies, like you know I used to have the strap thing. I strap the baby in, put the baby in, and I go on my business, and whether I was in the mall or somewhere, and it was like this strange thing to see a black man with his baby. It was like, oh my God, that's so cute. Oh God, that's so wonderful. I'm like,
I know.
But you see women carrying their kids all the time, and don't nobody stop with that. Oh, that's so cute. That's so wonderful. Oh my goodness gracious. And it's like, why is this? Because it was a black man with his kid, as if that doesn't exist. And the stereotype that had been pushed in society for so long has been debunked in the fact that black men statistically are more involved in the lives of their children than their white counterparts.
People don't know about that survey. People don't know about that survey because we're overwhelmed with these negative depictions that's, like I said, on television, in the magazines. Look at that art display that we just seen from the UN, you know, or whatever the case may be. Listen, babe, I got to do this. Michael Moore, hey. Hey, Michael.
What, he asked you to wave at him?
Yeah. I need to do that. Hey, Michael. I'm glad to be back. But no, babe, you know, I mean, it really is, you know, it really is all of that, you know, and some, you know, this is just you and I kind of bouncing off each other. I don't know. But like I said, it's sad. It's sad that a good majority of white people in America don't see the humanity in us, you know, and don't see us as equal to who they are as a person. You know, the late great Cicely Tyson, I watched one of her interviews, and so she was asked about, you know, does she pick the parts in the roles that she plays? She said yes, and she said it's very important. She said I let go of a lot of money. I lost a lot of money because it's certain roles that I refuse to play, you know, as Black people. And she said that after she did, and she was very young too when she did Sounder, although she didn't really start acting until she was 31 years old. But nevertheless, when she did Sounder and she got that nod for the Oscar, she was interviewed. And she was interviewed by this white popular commentator who I can't remember his name. But, you know, way back then, I believe it was in the 60s, sometime in the 60s. Nevertheless, he said to her, on national television, interviewing her, he said, you know, I had a problem with your son who was portrayed by Kevin Hooks calling his father daddy. And so, you know, she was taken aback a little bit, like, why would you have a problem with a son calling his daddy, you know, his father daddy, you know, or whatever. And so she was taken aback. And so she said, she said, "Do you have children?" And he said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, what do your children call you?" And he said, "Daddy." And so she said, "Oh, I get it. So you had a problem with a black child calling his black father daddy, but you didn't have a problem. You don't have a problem with your children calling you daddy." So in other words, he was superior. Like in other words, black kids can't see a black man as a daddy. And
Yeah,
that was
I
sad
don't
to
know
her.
what that's about. That's crazy.
Yeah, but that was sad to her, and that's what made her. That's what sent her on this journey to say, no way in the world am I gonna play roles that kind of perpetuate that mentality towards black people, because it's too many white people that don't see black people as human.
Hmm.
When a son can't call you daddy, it's something wrong with the way that you view and perceive black people. When your
See,
son can't call
they
you
don't
daddy.
see our full humanity. The depiction of us in their founding documents as 3/5 of a human being, it still applies today. That's how they view black folks. That we're
Yeah.
subhuman in some
Well, you know
kind of.
what? Well, you know what's sad about that is they don't even know that that's in in the Constitution. They don't even know. White folks that are racist just hate other groups, and just what makes them feel better is trying to seeing other groups as less than who they are. That's what makes them feel better. It's just regular classic psychology. It's just like the black eye, blue eyed experience, experiment. So, when you convince, blue eyed people that they were more intelligent, that group galvanized quickly and started to look down on brown eyed people within hours of the experiment. Within hours, they became superior, and they became inferior. The other group became inferior.
Mm, mm, mm. All right, listen. So we got about 20 minutes left. I want to know what y'all did for Valentine's Day. What y'all did for Valentine's Day? Throw them in the comments. During COVID, what could you do? I don't know. I'm not sure what you could have did, but what did y'all do for Valentine's Day? Throw that in there. Let me open up the lines again because somebody was trying to call when I had my technical difficulty. So I'm going to give them the opportunity if they want to hit us back again. 413-337-1867 is the number here. And let me see if I can get.
You just took a complete curve. I don't know if I can go back down. It was a really good comment in here about LBJ and white folks that voted LBJ. It was a really good comment in the chat, babe. I don't know how to get back to it, but
Scroll
it
back up.
rolled back up.
Scroll back up.
I don't know how to. How. Okay. Anyway, but it was a really good comment in here that somebody put in here about LBJ and LBJ being asked the question, why do so many white people vote against their own interests? In other words, it's not good for them to vote in this way. But anyway, he was like, I'm paraphrasing. I wish I could get back to it. But anyway, if you can convince the poorest or lowest white man that somebody is beneath him, or whatever, and he will basically, oh, here it is. Here it is. Somebody just put it back in here. LBJ was once asked why poor white Republicans repeatedly voted against their own best interests, and this was his response. If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't know you're picking his pocket.
Yep.
He'll give him someone to look down on, and he'll empty his pockets for you.
And
Yeah.
that's what was used during the whole Trump administration. That's why you had literally white folks who lived in trailer parks had Trump signs up. His economic policies devastated them, hurt them, didn't help them at all. But yet they voted for him because at least you're not a nigger was basically the concept there. That's real. That's what it was. Good morning, caller.
Hey, what's going on?
How you?
Pretty good. Yeah,
I can't hear.
I'm in on this today's subject about Donald Trump gets acquitted.
Mm-hmm.
My observation of this, it is not just the observation of this particular situation. To me, this whole thing is just basically political theater. It's political theater. I know that Donald Trump's not going to do any time. Whatever happened was basically a white alpha male like Donald Trump was put in position to do what he did just to show how their group of people can basically flex their muscle. And what they're doing by displaying it and showing it on television is basically socially engineering people's minds through the media. It's all tied in together. The media puts this stuff out. They're going to show that nothing happens to them, and that socially engineers people. They play over and over and over and over,
and it desensitizes them to it, and they expect it to happen again the next time. It's kind of like when we show black people being killed by cops, shot in the back, all of that stuff, and then nothing happens to the cops. It desensitizes folk to it, and they have the same expectation the next time a cop murders a black person. No big deal, ain't nothing gonna happen.
Right, that's what they're doing. So what we have to do is we got to tap in to the energy of power, because the truth is this: man didn't create power. Man, the intelligent man who thinks and can rationalize and can problem solve, has to acknowledge that there is power. And then whoever is that intelligent person can basically tap into that power and utilize that power. Then that puts them in the position of power. Now, the people are in position of power that utilizes power, which everyone can have access to. But the trick that they use is they put other things in front of us to distract us from the truth and power, such as Cardi B, your Kodak Black.
You better say it.
I'm sorry, man.
She said you better say it.
Yeah, and they put this in front of us. Just imagine you plant a seed in the ground, and you take that seed with the soil and put it in a dark closet. It's not going to get any light. But you put it outside to the light is going to shine on it, and the seed has access to the sun. What these people are doing is they're jumping in front of the sun and distracting us from the light, which is the truth, which is the source. We have to tap into the power, the same thing that they're tapping into.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll use one more analogy. And I study a little bit of mixed martial arts, combat sport fighting. If you have one fighter who's a one-dimensional fighter who only fights with his hands, he's a boxer. The other guy has 5 martial arts skills, 5 forms of martial art, combat sport. If that boxer doesn't acknowledge that his opponent has 4 other different styles of fighting,
And if he doesn't realize that his opponent has more weapons, he's not going to win. Some of us black people, we don't even identify that there is a problem. Like if that boxer did not identify and say, wait a minute, maybe I should study more martial art forms against, so I can be better competitor against my competitor. If he doesn't acknowledge that, then he has a low IQ. He has a low fighter's IQ because he cannot identify what he needs to. And that's part of problem solving. Black people, there's too many of us in that church. There's too many of us that get distracted by this religion. This is why we're not looking. And look at the end results. I look at everything. I see what's going on. And then I look at the end results of what the person has done, or the group of people, what they're practicing. If the end result is still we're under, that means we're not doing something correct. And everything that we're doing, the religion, all I have to do is watch MSNBC for like 20 minutes, and I see the social programming. Just the way they want it to be.
The social engineering. Yeah.
Social engineering is programming. They're programming us. These are the think tanks that put this stuff out. They control the media. Control the media.
They do control the media, but I do think that more and more of us are becoming aware of that. I think like my grandparents' generation, maybe some of my mother's generation gave that the benefit of the doubt. But now there's more calling out and there's more calling in, to that social engineering that you speak of and to that white supremacist theology that you speak of. And even though people like Frederick Douglass called white supremacy Christianity out, whatever the case may be. So I think there's more that as we advance, there's more of a calling out to those groups that, have kind of bought into that white supremacist, thinking and thought and process and, and programs, against our best interests. I believe that.
Absolutely. Now, somebody mentioned, my aunt mentioned Tyra Perry over Winfrey. Those type of black people, they're not in power. They're not in power.
Yeah.
They're part of the buffer class. Like Tariq Nasheed says, I forget the term he uses, but another point I want to make about is when I gotta say this to my black people, and I've analyzed this phrase. When people say white supremacy, I thought about this and it dawned on me. Stop saying white supremacy, because here's why. When you say white supremacy, number one, you're giving it more power. Number two, supremacy does exist, but it's actually not white supremacy. It's called supremacy, because but the people that are practicing it and winning happen to be white, but I wouldn't label it white supremacy. It's just called being supremacy. Now, if we understand the premises of being superior is to win, is to have an edge, is to be above, is to evolve. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as we're the ones doing it. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing because they're doing it. It may be wrong to us because we're at the other end of it.
Well, see, I would push back. I would push back a little, because if being on top, if being superior is strictly based on your efforts, your abilities, the fact that you have proper, like you were talking about in the fighting ring, that you have studied and prepared yourself, and so you're superior to your opponents, and it's based on a fair acquisition of skills of a set that allows you to excel. I'm all for that. But if your supremacy is based on subjugating me, brutalizing me, and unfairly taking an advantage over me, then that's not supremacy at all.
Right.
Guess what, my man? In the game of life, that's how you win. Rules up. That's the operating system that we're under. That's above us.
Yeah, well, you know that. Well, see that's what I would push back against, because if you, it's kind of like, you know, the athlete that takes steroids or illegal substances to give him a physical advantage over another instead of just hard work and perseverance. If you and I are afforded the same opportunities, and you were able to excel above me, that's a fair game. But if you break my legs so you can win the race, that's not fair.
And they breaking legs all the time, you know.
You said that's not fair?
Exactly.
Oh.
Now,
yeah.
Hear me out. Okay. Okay. In the real game of life, see, it's like this. If you're fighting against someone and you just can't figure out the strategies that this person is doing, and the outcome is them winning, whether you want to call it cheating, whether you want to call destiny of the person's leg, whether you want to give them a bad training book, if they fall for it, that means that they fall for it. But the end result is the other person is using every tactic that they have to win.
Well, see, and I'll flip that again and say that in that particular contest, there are rules of the contest. And if you break the rules of the contest to gain an unfair advantage, you should be penalized for breaking those rules.
That's right.
Only
and the game should be forfeited.
Only if the other person has the power to penalize the person who, quote unquote, bend the rules. But if the person who's bending, quote unquote, bending the rules has no one to answer to and they're winning, you're in a disadvantaged position. You can't do nothing about it.
Well, exactly. And once again, I don't disagree with you with that.
Right.
But I would then again say that person is not superior to me, because in a fair, it's kind of like, you know, in so many facets of American life, in a fair setting, Black folk would excel far above and beyond where they are, and above and beyond white folks. But as long as you take an unfair advantage, then you can win all day long.
So, you know, somebody just reminded me of something, and I'm glad that she did. She brought up Simone Biles, and so this is in relation to how I see things happening. So Simone Biles is a gymnast, and she's an award-winning gymnast, gold medalist, you know, the whole nine. She keeps getting penalized because she's able to do things that the other gymnasts can't do.
They're making rules
penalized
based on her abilities.
Excellent. And she's being penalized for excelling above and beyond. And that's the way that I see Black folk in relation to white supremacy. I know you don't like that word. You know, in relation,
change the rules when it comes to us.
The rules when we figure out how to play the game. You know, so when we figure out how to win, they change the rules. That's ridiculous. This is exactly how I see us, you know, or whatever. We are always winning. You know, we find out how to excel. We find out how to win, and this, that, and the other, and then they want to change the rules. That is exactly what white supremacy do. They will penalize us for winning. They will penalize us for doing something in the sport, doing something in government, doing something in society that has never been done before for being better than they are. They will penalize us for that.
Now, that sounds the truth. And I wish it was where things were fair. But unfortunately, that's now, the game of life is being played out. So I think if we boost up our IQ levels and know exactly what we're up against, those particular tactics that's just another art form that they're using to make us lose.
No, but you didn't hear what I said, because we're not losing. We're actually winning. They changing the game when we win. They change the game when we win. They change the game when we figure it out. Like I said, Simone Biles is, doing something in the sport that's never been done before. And the other athletes cannot do what she can do. And so they are penalizing her for being able to do something in the sport that nobody else can do. That's what it's like to be black in America. They are penalizing us for being able to do something that they can't do.
What do you call that? We're in the position to penalize us.
I call it cheating.
I call
it cheating. I call it being unfair. I call it being racist. Right. I call it propagating white superiority, all of that stuff. But I feel you, brother. We got to move out the way because we got to close out the program. Go ahead.
Shout me out. My name is Mr. Electron Triplet from Springfield, Massachusetts. Tell Uncle Talbert I said hello.
All right, cousin. All right, cousin. All right. God bless. Yes, sir.
Didn't know that was happening, huh?
Take care. All right. That's the last caller of the day. Interesting conversation, though. And I feel him, on the points that he made. But we got to get a hold. Let me do this. Let me do this before we go. Let me do this. Let me do this before we go. Let me do this before. I told you she was on.
Okay, I didn't hear you, man.
Yeah, you gotta listen to it. So here, check this out, y'all. Brothers, y'all gotta step up your game a little bit. You gotta step up your game.
Cynthia, how are you? I'm Anthony Hamilton. Talbert loves you. Mr. Swan loves you. He wants you to know that. 3 decades with you. Memories that he'll never get. He wants to live this life with you several times, over time, and twice around 100 years. Your grandchildren, your children, they all love you. You make things possible. You give joy. On those dark days, you brighten them up. You're the reason for it all. You're the point of it all. I can't stay away from you too long. Even if I do, I'll always call. Checking on you, make sure you're okay. Let me be the one to brighten up your day. Yeah, and the point of it all is to love you. Talbert Swan loves you. Cynthia, and may God continue to bless you, your family, and your union. I'm Anthony Hamilton. Continue to love. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, babe.
We out of here. We got to go.
Every time I hear it, I go crazy. Best gift ever, babe. Best gift ever. Best gift ever.
Now she said that's even better than when I serenaded her. But hey, I'm not Anthony Hamilton, so I guess I got to go with that. All right,
Okay.
check it out. Check us out on Wednesday for our midweek live stream. If you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts. We live stream on Sundays at 11 a.m. on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm out of here. We're out until the next time.
Bye, Professor Baldwin.
We
Bye,
talk to you.
Michael. Bye, everybody.
And you talk to us. Always remember, God loves you, and so do we.
Hey, we going to breakfast?
Peace. Deuces. You cooking breakfast?
No, I said, well, you going to pick up breakfast? You need to pick up breakfast. Okay.
Bye, y'all. See y'all later.